Here we've come to the end of August, and this morning it feels good to sit out on the porch with a sweater and with a working shawl on my lap. And yes, wool socks. Hello, and welcome to the My Wool Mitten podcast, my place here on the internet where I share with you the life of an aging farm woman. That's me, Carrie, raising sheep, tending garden, and managing a small farm in the middle of the Mitten, Michigan's Lower Peninsula. I hope you'll join me as I learn to navigate changes to my life, my farm, and my flock of sheep. As we change the calendar from August to September 2022, we notice the changes around us, from seed starting to seed saving, from spring songbirds and peepers to chickadees and finches and crickets. Since my last episode, when I talked to you about the drought and the heat wave that we were in, we finally, thankfully, started to get rain. It's cooled off a little bit, and things are starting to grow again. Not enough to save the hay crop. We won't get another cutting of hay, I don't think, but it has helped the pasture, and things have started to grow again in the garden. Things like these wonderful beans and just several things going on. I've had a good potato crop. I meant to talk to you about some more of the tomatoes that have been ripening that I've been harvesting, but I was getting short on time, so I'll do that another time. I've made some salsa and some onion jam using recipes from my friend Hannah at Sweet Fern Homestead, who I've mentioned before. And if you haven't already, I hope you go and check out her channel. In this episode, I'm going to show you this little bit of gardening, and then we're going to talk about knitting and what I think is an exciting upcoming knit-along that I'm going to be co-hosting with Susan from Wild Cottage Knitting with Elly of Curio Stitches and some of her patterns. So I hope you'll stay tuned and watch that. And then after we talk about the knitting, I'm going to take you along while we do our fall barn cleanup. That's something that we tend to do at this time of year, and then we get all ready for the winter time. We've started the compost pile to help the gardens for next year. So I hope you'll stay tuned and watch that. And if you haven't already, I hope you'll click the like and subscribe button. And please be sure and leave a comment. I love hearing your comments. Thank you for staying with me and for following along. And I'll look forward to seeing you real soon. And I hope you enjoy the episode. Thank you for being here. Well, now, welcome to the knitting portion of this episode of the My Wool Mitten podcast. I'm very excited to announce that I'm going to be co-hosting a knit-along. And actually, I'm a little late in getting this up because the knit-along starts in just a few days. But I've tried to record this a couple times, and as it does, didn't work out very well. So I'm just going to sit here in a familiar corner to you if you've watched me for very long. This is the podcasting corner, and talk to you about some yarn, some patterns, some knitting friends, and some inspiration. So if you followed me for very long, you'll know that I am a huge, huge fan of Elly at Curio Stitches. She used to be a yarn dyer, and it's heartbreaking that she's not doing that anymore because she's one of the most talented yarn dyers I ever have known. But she is focusing on pattern designs and writing now, and she is coming out with a new collection of designs. Some are already out. There are a couple more to go, and then there's going to be an ebook with a collection of the patterns. And another friend of mine Susan at Wild Cottage, Ireland, who you might know. If you follow me, you might follow Tom and Susan and their adventures on a small holding in Ireland, and Susan's adventures with knitting. Well, Susan and I are both fans of Elly, and Susan reached out to me recently and said, I would like to do a knit-along to encourage Elly and to invite others to join along and to learn about her patterns and designs, and we just thought that would be a fun thing to do. And so this is the Curio Stitches knit-along, and it starts on September 24th, which is this Saturday. I believe this is going to be uploaded on either Wednesday or Thursday, this episode. So it starts in just a few days, but it's running until the end of the year, and so you've got plenty of time to join in if you're not ready to start in on Saturday. The knit-along, as I said, is going to be co-hosted by Susan and myself, and Elly is joining in as well to provide support, and she's going to be offering some discounts as well on patterns. And Susan and I are both going to be doing pattern giveaways as well as prize giveaways. So this is going to be called the Curio Stitches knit-along, and I'll put all the information. I'll try to put it on the screen, and I'll also put it down below. I highly encourage you, or I hope that you'll go and follow Elly on her YouTube channel, which is Curio Stitches here on YouTube. I'll put a link to that. She also has a website, which is curiostitches.com, and she's on Ravelry as designer Elspeth Willis, and I'll put that information too. So if you are on Ravelry, you can go and take a look there. We are going to be doing weekly prizes, and we're taking turns. We're going to alternate between Susan and myself and Elly, Susan and me and Elly, and so yeah, that's going to be kind of fun. But along with the prizes, if you would like to go purchase a pattern, there's a discount code for each of us, and it's the same for all of us, but it just is for Elly to see who comes from where. And so if you would like to go and visit her website or go to Ravelry, and if there's a pattern that you'd like to purchase, you can use the discount code CARY, CARYKAL, and that will give you 15% off any of Elly's patterns. And this isn't just a one-time purchase. If you purchase a pattern, you finish up, and then you decide you want to knit a different pattern, that coupon code, that discount code, is going to be good for the length of the KAL, which is, as I said, going to the end of the year. Now, Elly's newest collection is really exciting, and that's the Ruin Casting collection. And she has 3 of the patterns, I believe, are already released for a sweater, for a pair of socks, and for a hat. There's going to be a pair of mitts coming up. And on the 30th of this month, the 30th of September 2022, she's going to be launching the entire collection in an ebook. And so, as Elly herself has said, if you want to wait to purchase any of the Ruin Casting collection patterns, you might want to wait until the 30th and buy the ebook, because there's going to be a little bit of savings and there's going to be some extra things in there, and so that would be kind of fun. So maybe you want to cast on this weekend with a different pattern of Elly's, something from maybe the Elle has Ruin mitts, an older pattern, or a few other patterns that she has. Go and take a look at her collection and see. So I know that I am going to be offering a prize package in October as my portion, as one of the giveaways that I'm going to do, because that's my podcast anniversary month. And also the mitt pattern will be out by then. And so stay tuned for more details, but there's going to be a prize package coming up as a giveaway for me. In the meantime, to celebrate the launch of the knit-along, and which, like I said, is only a couple of days away, but if you see this podcast and you learn about the knit-along, and if you would go over and follow Elly, follow Susan, if you would go to either Elly's website or to Ravelry and choose a pattern, leave a comment down below here on YouTube for me, and I will choose from that comment, make a comment about which pattern you would like to knit, and I'm going to do an early pattern giveaway on Saturday the 24th, so that you can get started and knit along with us. And so here's what I'm going to be casting on Saturday. I'm going to be casting on the Jarrah Harvest Socks, which is a pattern that was just released. If you followed me for a while, you know that I started out the year focusing on hand spun and hand knit socks. And so I thought that would be a good place for me to start. However, I know that I don't have enough yarn spun up to knit a pair of socks, and I want to cast on Saturday. So I'm going to cast on, this is some of our farm yarn, a gray and then an over-dyed gray. And so I'm going to cast on with these and then keep spinning to do a second pair. This pattern comes with instructions for both a fingering weight and a DK weight. And so that's going to work well with hand spun. But I'm going to cast on and using this gray and this kind of mossy green. I think I've got a great project bag to put the pattern in. I think it complements very well. I've got this stag stitch marker, and I think that fits in well with the theme of a harvest. And so that's what I'm going to be casting on Saturday. I have the stitch marker gauge here, or the knitting needle gauge here, because I'm not sure what size needles is going to work well for me. I'm going to cast on and do, these are toe-up socks, so my toes will be my gauge swatch to get started. So that's what I'm going to knit. That's going to be my official pattern to start in the Curio Stitches knit along. So again, just to cover briefly, if you would like to be entered to win a prize from Curio Stitches, a pattern, if you would like to leave a comment below my video here and just mention which one of Elly's patterns you would like to knit, on Saturday, September 24th, I'll draw from those comments and you will win a prize in case you want to get started on Saturday. So, and if you can't access Ravelry, you can use, we'll give you the pattern from Elly's website, Curio Stitches, and you can download from there. So if you have any questions, please be sure to let me know. I'm excited to be co-hosting this knit along, and I look forward to encouraging Elly, as she's been a huge encouragement to me over the years. I'm having fun doing this with Susan, who has become a dear friend, and I hope that you'll join in with us to do a knit along. Small projects, if you're already working on something big, or there are a couple of sweaters that maybe we want to look at doing, and I'll talk more about that. I'm going to do a little knitting vlog on Saturday to celebrate casting on, and I'll talk more about the patterns then. So I hope you'll join in, and please do go, if you don't already, and follow Curio Stitches here on YouTube or Wild Cottage Ireland here on YouTube. And they are both on Instagram as well, so you could follow them there. So that concludes the knitting portion of today's episode. I hope I'll see you at the knit along. Here's a view in the barn I don't know that I've ever showed you before. This is the alleyway that runs, there's an alleyway back here. You come down the steps, alleyway behind some tie stalls, alleyway coming out here into the other part of the barn. This is a door here that can go out into the lean-to, and I'm standing in another doorway. And you can see here's old halters. Even though I've gave a bunch away, we still have halters hanging here. The old telephone, and we used to, if we were in the barn working and we answered a phone call, we'd make a note on the chalkboard. So, and cobwebs that need to be swept down. I try to do that a couple times a year, but it doesn't always happen. And I had some sheep to catch. There are some sheep that are going to a new home, and I waited till the cool of the morning to do that, and I was working by myself and just took my time. Patience isn't always a virtue of mine, but I tried to be slow and steady and move everybody without them getting riled up. A little bucket of grain works wonders for that, and we got that job done. And so what I did, and I don't know that this will make sense, but and there's an old saddle that needs to go over to the other barn. So I block off this alleyway. I make a tight pen in the inside where the sheep run. I can open this door all the way, and then I'm going to turn, and then they can go back down this way and then out into kind of a holding pen for the day until the folks show up to pick them up tonight. Yeah, you don't want to jump down there, do ya? Hi, Naomi. Well, phase 1 is complete. Not complete, but I've pulled up everything that I can. And now my son-in-law and grandson are coming to take up. The feeders are too heavy for me. And then these gates are really long and heavy. So even though I got them unhooked, they'll put them in their proper place. And then we'll have these to put up and out of the way. The Shetlands are shut in another pen underneath. And the Corriedales will go into one when the guys get here and we get ready to move these. And then this whole area will be open and ready for the tractor to come in and go through and scoop up the manure, hopefully. I'll give you another picture after these things are all moved out. Okay, here we go. All of the gates and feeders have been moved. The sheep are shut into small pens. This post will pull out with the tractor. I couldn't get it out without that. That gate will most likely stay there unless he needs to move it for going in and out. And I'll go downstairs and we'll take a look at it from down there too. So now we're standing downstairs on the floor of the lean-to. I don't know if it looks bigger with the pens in it or bigger with them out. I almost think it looks bigger with the pens in. Seems like there's more space. We walk over here out of that spot of sunlight. Of course, that's looking up into the haymow. Out to pasture. So hopefully all goes well tomorrow and I'll be able to show you a nice clean barn. I told you I'd bring you along on the next step. Here's the makings of next year's compost. Bailey's having so much fun. We're about halfway done. Looking from the other direction. Quite a difference just a few hours makes. Not quite done yet, but awful close. Well, here we are, all finished. We finished up about 2 o'clock. So, well, all finished. There are some corners that need to be pitched out with a pitchfork, but the main pile, or the main floor, is all done. And so, boy, sure relieved to get that job done. And while he was here running the tractor, I was sweeping cobwebs and moving some gates, thinking about some storage, going through some stuff and doing some cleaning. So it was a productive day. I feel good about that. Bailey enjoyed herself chasing mice and rolling in the manure. She stayed close by, so that was really good. I don't think I had a before picture here, but I moved a lot of stuff around from here. And I did show you previously this alleyway. And I've got a tote to take up to the house, and then those gates are the ones that'll go back out into the main barn. So still some cobwebs, but it looks a lot better, doesn't it? So I don't have things quite set up for the sheep to be able to go back out. So they'll probably stay in their individual pens, or not individual, but their small pens. I want to let this dry out. We've got a great breezy day for it today. Before I start putting some bedding down and putting the gates back up. So thanks for coming along with me on this job. I appreciated having your help. Or at least being able to show you the start and the finish. Good girl. Good choice.